So at SIME, our mission is really to help creators, to help you regain control of your media. And we know that today photos and videos are scattered across multiple apps, hard drive, NAS, systems, and cloud services. And it sometimes makes it really difficult to keep track of your own media, and it can slow down your workflows significantly, create frustration, and when you need to find a file quickly, or when you want to prepare something for whatever project. So this is why we developed Peakto. And we want to give you a complete and unified view of all your media. That's what we've been working on for the past few years, regardless where it's stored. And we want also to leverage AI to help you organize search and manage your file with as little effort as possible, and saving you precious time. So I just say hello to the people joining in. Hi, Gary from Toronto. So our goal is really simple. It's to streamline your workflow so you can focus on what matters most for you, creating, telling stories, etc. And so today's session is packed with some exciting news and updates, and some insights also on what we're working on. And we'll cover that step by step. So first we'll explore what has been released over the past months and a half or so. During the summer, we've been pretty busy. And so we'll cover some features, including changes in navigation, changes in selection, some new languages and smarter tools. And then we'll give you a few exclusive sneak peek at Peakto 2.5, which is our major new release, which we are actively working on at the moment. There is a beta ongoing, and if you want to join that beta program, feel free to contact us after the talk, so we can add you in. So this upcoming release has lots of new features, and I'm going to show you just a couple of them in a quick demo. And also we'll share our plans for IBC 2025, which is a very big video broadcast show in Amsterdam next week. So let's start with what's new in Peakto, what we've been releasing in the summer. I'll just bring up this little window here, which is our release notes that you can access from the footer of our website. There's a release notes here. And it's quite handy because it gives you a view of what we've been working on and what kind of release we have. And so you see we've been pretty busy in August, and actually 2 releases are missing because there was a 2.4.8 that was released last week, I think. And today we just released 2.4.9. So we are in September, not in August anymore, but you can see how busy we've been, and these are not small releases. There are some important bug fixes, but also new features. And in today's release, we just added support for DxO Photolab 9, which has been announced, I believe, yesterday. So what is new in Peakto what have we been working on Peakto in the last releases? There are a couple of things that have changed, and I just like to show them to you now, in case you're not aware of them. The first one is the way you can now use the source volumes to navigate in your content. Previously, whenever you had ingested some content, you would see them here as a flat list. Like, for example, suppose I look at my Capture One sessions or my Capture One catalog. It's just a flat list of things that are in this category. My folders, same thing, they're here. But sometimes it's important to know where the things are, and sometimes also you have different types of catalogs in a folder or in a hierarchy of folders, and you would like to see everything that is in all of them. So it would be really difficult. Say the birds and Matera are in the same folder, and I want to join them together. I have to manually pick them like that. It's quite inefficient. So here, instead, now you can open the source volume, and this is going to show you not only the volumes on which you have content, but also how this content is organized in those volumes. So for example, if I open this volume here, I can see I have different subfolders, and here, for example, I have a subfolder which exists on the Finder. I'm going to open it right now. Okay, so I'm looking at C1 online. Why is it? Oops. Here it is. You see there are a couple of Capture One catalogs here. Not all my Capture One catalogs are here. Some of them are somewhere else. But if I click on this subfolder, I'm going to see everything that is inside. So whether it's Capture One catalogs, whether it's folders, or other types of catalogs that are located in the Finder in this location. So that's super handy because it lets you organize. So for example, let's say you have both some photos and also some videos for a project, and you have them in a folder on your Finder. For example, you have an Adobe Premiere project, and you have some assets that are loose in a folder, and then you have some other things maybe in a Lightroom catalog. You can just click on this folder inside Peakto and see all your assets regardless where they are for that specific project. So that's new, and it's very handy. And you can also, there is also a very handy feature, which is once you have a folder like this one, you can scan and attach everything that is underneath it. So for example, this is convenient if you keep adding stuff here. For example, Capture One sessions, people often have lots of them. So you keep adding stuff, and you don't want to manually remember which one are already in Peakto, which one are not, and you don't want to manually add them. So you can just go here and say, scan and attach everything that is underneath and that is not yet in Peakto. So this is a super handy feature. Okay. So that's one of the things we've added over the summer. We've also changed something that's more subtle, but that has to do with selection. Sometimes Peakto was essentially keeping the selection that you had made. So for example, let's go in this album and I select something. If I would have then turned to another catalog, we would have kept that selection, and it would have been really obvious in the inspector because this image would still have been selected. As a result, if I would say, for example, click on wildlife here, it would keep this selection here from an image that is somewhere else, and I would get completely confused over what's happening because it would still have this appearing in the inspector, even though I am in a catalog that doesn't contain that image. This has changed now. So if I go, for example, here, and I select an image, go back to my album, it selects whatever was selected in the album. If I go back to here, it keeps the selection I had in this context. It looks like a small change, but it's actually really a big one, and it goes a little bit further than that, because if I select this image that is in the album and I go back to the source where this image comes from, because the image belongs to that source, it's going to keep the selection. So that's quite cool because it means that I'm not losing context every time I move somewhere. So for example, if I select this image here, and go back to my album where this image does not belong, it's going to select what was previously selected in that album. So small changes like that, very important. We've added languages as well in Peakto, 3 more languages, and we've also localized part of the website. So if you're speaking Spanish or German or Japanese, you can now run Peakto in the language of your choice. in your home language, basically. I just add a side note here. If you are speaking one of these languages and you notice that the localization has some weird things, please let us know. We've been dealing with German people who have really kindly told us about some things that we had mistakenly translated in something that doesn't make any sense. So we've corrected those translation, and we keep improving the translation. So please, if you see things that do not look right, let us know, and we'll fix it for everyone. Yeah, just to remind you, sorry, that you can use the chat to ask questions, and we try to keep track of what's happening in this window. So the other things we've been working on in this release, I mean, I mentioned the fact that we've added Photolab compatibility. We've also received some reports about problems and crashes in some occasions, especially when dealing with videos, and we've been working on that for the last few weeks. We've been really active on fixing bugs and making sure the app is really working as it should. And we've also improved performance quite a bit, especially in the grid, and we saw that sometimes performance could degrade after using it for, say, a few hours. So I think we fixed a number of issues to make the app really, really responsive and work really well. Again, if you notice anything weird, if you have some issues, our support is really working almost around the clock to make sure that we respond in time and that we understand your issues and try to either point you in the right direction if it's a misuse of the app, or also I'll fix the bug if there is a real bug. Or sometimes we can also find some workarounds to work around some situations that we don't support yet. Okay. Next, we'd like to show you a few upcoming things in the next release of Peakto. So I'm going to relaunch a different version. So this is by no means the final release. It just highlights a few changes that I'd like to share with you. Okay, maybe I should start by relaunching the existing version. As I can do that. Right, so there's one thing that we wanted to address, and so this is the current version. I'm going to select here something. Right, so we had an issue with the way the UI was organized here, and it had mainly to do with the fact that traditionally in UI and user experience rules, what you have on the left is the most important thing, and it drives what comes next to it. And so, for example, here, the grid here is not really driving what is happening here, which is my sidebar where I see my sources and everything. The grid is actually driving what is happening here. So that's an issue. And also, that's the first issue. There was a little inconsistency in the way the user interface was organized. There is another thing is when you select, for example, a bin, which is the media bin are these new collections that we've introduced, and that let you combine images, videos, subclips, and put them in a certain order, and then export them to apps such as DaVinci Premiere or Final Cut. The thing is that the bin is always in grid mode, in kind of grid mode, and it's a special type of grid mode. So it doesn't make any sense to be able to go into these other types of displays for the bin, especially, for example, looking at the faces in the bin. It's something different. So we had this inconsistency. So what we're working on, and again, if you're part of the beta program, we're more than happy to have you contribute and send your feedback, as some people have already started to do. We have changed that, and on the left now, what you see is actually the various. Well, let me open it so it to be easier. What you see on the left is going to drive what you see immediately next to it in the sidebar. So here we've split what was in the original sidebar when we had sources, albums, everything. We've split it into different views. So here, for example, I'm only seeing my sources. Here I'm only seeing my volumes. Remember, that's the feature we just introduced, where you can navigate through your drive and see what are the various things that you have ingested in Peakto. So this is now, it's in its own view. The sources, you can add a new source clicking on the plus button. Now, I don't see my albums here, just my sources. If I want to see my albums, I go in the albums view. And if I want to create a new album, I can do that using the plus button, create a new folder, a new album, or a new smart album, which are all going to be visible here. The bins, the media bins are here. Everything that has to do with the apps, the workspaces for the apps are here. You see there's still some little bugs here, like about the display of this field, which is truncated. So everything is here. And we're going to add a series of tools here that are going to drive what is really displayed here. I can already disclose that what was currently displayed here, all the shared areas that I've created in the Pro version for collaborating with other people, these are going to move here. So everything is going to be sort of organized neatly on the left. So that's one of the major changes of this release. And again, there are a few tools that I don't want to speak about yet that are going to appear here, and that are some of the tools that are most requested by our users. They should appear soon. Another thing that we've changed, I'm going to show you a second feature, and it has to do with faces. Currently, if you have a picture like this and you try to reveal the faces, stay on the image, there are no detected faces in this image, because to detect a face, we need eyes, we need a mouth, we need a nose, we need certain landmarks, as they are called, for faces. So these images have no faces. And we had the request, of course, to be able to name people that are seen from the back or are seen from a distance, whatever. So you can now, with a new button, it's probably not going to stay like that, but at least in this version, you can now add manually a face. So you notice that it didn't suggest any resembling face because it's seen from the back, so he had no idea that it was Robert actually in this picture. So if I go here, I can do the same. Notice it doesn't know it's Robert here because it has no idea, which is fine. Right. So I can now use the face annotation to tag faces that are not recognized in the image. That was also a request that was made for Peakto, and it's in this release. I forgot to show you something really important that has to do with the previous feature. I'm sorry about that. I'm going back into this view. I've spoke about how we modified the left-hand side here to remove the view selector and make it more obvious. But now how do you go to the grid? How do you see your panorama? How do you see your map? Well, all these controls are now at the bottom here. So if I click on the grid, I'm going to see the grid here. If I need to see the map for that specific, let's go back here. For that specific source, for example, whatever is selected, I select it from here. There is a debate still about whether it's a good place to be. Adobe Lightroom, some other apps have their view selector at the bottom. Some other apps have it at the top. If you have any input you want to send us about this, we're more than happy to talk about it and to integrate your feedback. Currently, it's at the bottom, so this is how you can now navigate between those views. And if I go back to my bins, which I showed you before, notice that now the bottom chooser has disappeared, because simply when I'm in a bin, I cannot choose whether I want to go in the map view or in whatever. So it solves that problem neatly. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for the user interface change, and I've shown you what we've done with the faces. The next thing I want to show you, and that's coming in this release as well in 2.5, is the ability to share things with guests. So this is a pro version, a pro feature only, and I'm just going to recap quickly what the pro version does that the standard version does not. So when it comes to sharing and giving access remotely, both versions, the standard and the pro, use this component called Peakto Connect to create a shared space where you can access things. So if I start my server, for example, locally, which is the configuration I'm choosing right now, if I start that, then I can open my browser and I can navigate from another computer, from my tablet, from my phone, or from another computer that would be on the internet had I chosen the public setup. Here I'm only local. I will be able to navigate and access things. That's common to both the Pro and the standard version. The Pro version has something, let's just open that for a minute just to see. I'm going to log in here. Okay. Right. So this, remember this shared space is called Share One, and this is what I see here. Share One, I can see all my sources. So that's basically remote access for myself as an administrator, so to speak. The Pro version has an additional feature, which is the ability to share with a team. So first of all, you need to define a team. So you go in the settings and you can create a team. For example, here I've added a collaborator, part of my team, and then you can share with the team, and you can share a source, you can share an album. Soon you'll be able to share bins with the team. So that's a feature that is only in the Pro version. And what does the team member see? Well, he will see, if I go and open another navigator here, I'm going to open Chrome. All right, going to open a new Chrome window. Going to log Here's collaborator 3. So collaborator 3 will see what is in the share. Oops. All right, it's not. Let me just reopen that. Something's not playing here. Any web browser, other than that, public. Oh, yeah, of course, I cannot do that like that. Okay, so the person who gets the share in the with the other navigator is going to. Oh, it should see that. Okay, something is not playing right. Maybe because I've changed some of my networks. But anyway, I'll try to fix it by the end of the demo. But currently, that's the main difference between Peakto and Peakto Pro. You can share things with team members. So if I go, actually, this is what's not working. Okay. When you share with a team member, sorry, this is what I had it wrong. So let's restart and redo it completely. When you create a share, so for example here, let's say I want to create a share for this one, the thing. I'm going to restart. Sorry, I had it all wrong. I'm going to create a new share. All right. So I'm going to share birds because I have a bird project. And here I can add my collaborator. Okay, so he's going to be able to see this. I add it and I give him some access rights like the download and maybe some annotation capability. I validate and now the share. Validate. Oh, come on. Okay. I might have an issue with okay, I don't know what's happening with my setup here. Anyway, sorry, I can't show you that for now, but I'm going to do it differently and show you what has been added to the shared capabilities in terms of sharing with guests. So that was not available in previous version of Peakto. Now you can share with guests. And if I enable guest sharing, that means that I can share with people that are not, that do not have to have a license of Peakto to run, on the contrary of collaborators that need to, for which you need to pay a license. If you have, for example, a team of 5 people, you need to pay 5 web licenses. Here you can share with people and simply share a link with them. You can also give them permissions. So for example, I can give them permission to download, to comment. For example, I can add a passphrase and I can add an expiration date. Very similarly to what's possible in an app like frame.io. And I get this link. So here, this link is actually going to work when I'm sharing over the internet, but I can, I hope it's going to work. No, it's not going to work. Okay, something is wrong with this demo, but anyway, when you share this link to the person, it doesn't need to create an account or nothing. It's just going to work and be able to access your content. And one thing that we've added that is new now is you have the ability to add comments. So when you share with someone, he or she can add comments to the content. For example, so I can add a comment here. right? You can create threads of comments. Okay, it's a bit weird, I'm answering my own first comment, but you can create threads and people will be able to see when comments have been added. I can enable the collaboration view, and in that case, I can see that there are 2 comments for this particular image here. And this is going to be available to the people who are guests. They will be able to see the comments and the replies to the comments that they make. And of course, collaborators will be able to comment on the and reply to threads, etc. So we'll add then filters to easily find which are the content that have comments or that have been annotated. And you will be able, for example, if you share a project with, say, an album that I've created, you'll be able to see the people who have whoever has added comments, and you can see what those comments are and take action based on that. Okay, so this is currently in beta. I'm sorry for the little glitches that we had here, but believe me, it was working just an hour ago when I was sort of rehearsing. So this is going to be available soon, and you'll be able to test it if you are in the beta channel. The last thing we wanted to talk about is IBC 2025. So this is a big show that's happening in Amsterdam between the 12th and 15th of September. It's a first-class event for people in the broadcast and the video industry. So I just take a minute to explain a little bit our strategy when it comes to choosing which feature we develop, and also what are the shows we attend and how it affects the development of the app. So Peakto has long been an app really targeted at photographers, and as you notice, we've added more media, more support for video media in the last few releases, and also added more support for collaboration and for sharing and for accessing content using the various sharing capabilities that we have, because we want to target teams that are working with videos or are working with photos. So we tend to there is an agenda of all these major events where people in the video industry or in the photographic industry gather, and we try to synchronize our releases with those shows. So because of IBC coming up in next week, we feel we need to be there because we want to talk with creators. We want to have feedback that help us shape Peakto for the future. So we need to talk to these players. A month after that, there's going to be a show in Paris, which is the photo show. So we're going to exhibit there as well, and we're going to maybe to release some features we're working on at the moment that are more targeted towards photographers. So this is how we try to balance our work between adding more features for videographers and creators, adding more features for photographers, and balance our developments like that. It's very important for us to be in these events because, as I said before, we can meet our community, we have feedback in live when we do demos, and it helps us understand the needs of our user or future user, and understand also what is important between all the features we have in mind and what is really the thing that is a game changer for this industry. We have some tickets that we can send you if you want to attend IBC 2025. Just let us know, and we'll be able to send you some invites so you can come and meet us at our booth, and you can have that for free. So all this information about the show, where it happens, and also how to get a free entrance will be posted in the description of this live event on YouTube. That's it for me in terms of what I wanted to cover. It's not time for Q&A. If you have any questions about Peakto, about anything, it's really your space. So please use the live chat or the questions the live chat, I guess, to leave your questions. I haven't looked at what. Yeah, there's a question about the new left menu with 2.4.9. This is a 2.5 feature that's going to happen when 2.5 comes out. So, yeah. I love the new left menu and the view layout. Can hardly wait to test. Thank you for your comments. When sharing, can you define what metadata is displayed below the image? Yes, so you cannot define what is displayed, but you can control what is displayed. So if I open the share window here, I can go into this little grid settings menu and I can decide what is displayed. But I cannot, at the time of sharing, say, I want, for example, only the collaboration and I want it to be at the top. Every user can choose. Oh, sorry. I can move that at the top. I should be able to move it at the top. Ah, yeah. Something is not playing tonight. Ah, because it was alone. Okay. So you can see here that annotations are displayed. Collaboration is underneath. If I want to move collaboration at the top, it should move at the top. No, it doesn't want. For some reason. But yes, you can control that. And we are still working on how these widgets are working and what is displayed. We are not super entirely happy with the size of some of the displays. For example, here the stars are maybe a bit too small. So yeah, working on that. There are also some other fields that could be displayed, like for example, we display currently the title, but we cannot display, for example, a larger field like caption. Maybe this is something that needs to be changed, and we are waiting for some feedback on that. When you share something with a guest, sorry, I couldn't show you, but when you share something with a guest, the guest will not see all those decorations on the left. He will only see, essentially, he will only see the images that are shared with him, and he won't have any search field. So it's basically only a gallery where he can open the inspector, and based on the rights that he has, whether he can annotate, whether he can make comments, he will be able to make comments or annotate. But he cannot do any filtering, he cannot do any searches, so it's a very minimal interface when it comes to sharing with a guest. Nor can he create albums or do these kind of things that are available to collaborators. Can you share with the standard version? So with the standard version, currently, the way it's been designed is standard version is Peakto Connect for you to access your Peakto remotely. You cannot, obviously you cannot share with collaborators because there is no notion of teams in the standard version. We'll see whether at some point we give some capability to share with guests in the standard version. It's still a discussion we're having internally, but currently only the Pro version can share with guests. Anything else? Our estimated release date for 2.5, we cannot really comment on that because there are a few more changes with the user interface that we need to finish, plus obviously finishing everything that has to do with sharing. So in the coming weeks, but we can't give you more details about it. But again, if you're not in the beta list and you want to be part of it, just contact us and we'll happily add you to the beta. Okay, if there are no more questions. Anthony, do you see anything else that I should have answered, or? Okay, so I think this live session has come to an end. We want to thank you for participating and for your questions and interaction, and we'll be working towards releasing this new version with a fully working version of sharing and guests as soon as we can. Thank you and have a lovely evening or lovely morning if you are on this side of the world. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.